It's been a very rapid 3 hours or so, and I hope that things have moved along better for you today than yesterday. The next item on our agenda is a keynote speech or talk by Ninka Veltuzen, who's going to give us an overview of the global. I'm sorry, my allergies are really getting me down. Anyway, she's going to give us an overview on the global project for the elimination of leprosy, GPZL, and the agenda and implementation. So, if Nico, you're ready? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Truman, for introducing me, and welcome back, everyone, on the Plenary platform. I hope that most of you have made it shift from Zoom back to here, and thank you for staying on for this final presentation of the 2022 LRI Spring Meeting. And for some time now, the LRI and the Global Partnership have been collaborating on furthering the research agenda, and as such, it is my pleasure to present both on the recent achievements and the upcoming plans of the LRI, and as well as of the Global Partnership with regard to the research agenda work. So I will start first with the LRI, and then the second part of my presentation will be about the Global Partnership. So in the past 2 days, we've heard the progress presentations of the projects the LRI is currently funding, and we've heard how quite a number of them have been impacted by this second year of the COVID pandemic. We've also heard about the progress they were still able to make. And this slide shows 3 quotes that come from progress reports, and I thought were interesting or very good illustrations of the impact, but also of some of the mitigation strategies that people have used to deal with the challenges. And the first quote is an example of how impactful the pandemic has been on some of the projects. And it says, "The laboratory is under complete shutdown since March 2020. And this was reported in September 2021, paralyzing all planned experiments." The second quote is an example of how resilient and flexible many of the project have been in trying different ways of continuing with the work despite the pandemic. And this project mentions that project monitoring and support have been performed online. The third quote is from a project that was started in 2021. And that says, I see it's hidden behind. It says that the project was designed with anticipation of the COVID situation. But then what has been the impact on the internal proceedings at our sites? In general, because most of our work can be done online in terms of the review of proposals, but also the meetings with our scientific review committee, steering committee, and executive group, the impact has been minimum on the review cycle. I think the largest impact has been, and we've seen that again during this spring meeting as well, on the organization of the spring meeting. Not only missing to see everybody or all of our grantees and partners face to face in the meetings in the Netherlands, but also the technical challenges that we have faced both last year and just this year. So we very much hope to organize it again as a face-to-face meeting next year. But then to return to the figure above the quotes, this shows the number of projects that we currently have ongoing, and there are 27 projects. There are 5 projects in diagnostic tests, 8 projects in the area of disability. There are 4 projects on the sort of broader topic of operational research, 4 projects on stigma and discrimination, and there are 7 projects in the area of transmission. Then highlights of 2022 for the LRI. Well, we are of course in the middle of our review cycle of the 2023 budget rounds, and this round had a preference for proposals addressing cost-efficient case-finding strategies and the development and validation of diagnostic tests. And we've received 62 letters of intents, and currently 21 applicants are drafting their full proposals, which will go into the review cycle in May. Then our other plans is that we are planning this year 2 call for proposals. One will be the regular call to be published in December, and the second one will be a new type of call for proposals, and this will be a capacity strengthening call. And the aim of this call is to offer inexperienced researchers the opportunity to develop research capabilities in small-scale pilot projects. These projects will be of shorter duration and smaller budget than in our regular call for proposals. And an important requirement in this call is the need to identify a mentor who will support the novice researcher throughout the life cycle of the projects. So that includes the writing, submitting, and if granted, the implementation, analysis, and the reporting of the findings. This call will also be announced in December, and the specifics of the call will be further developed in the coming months. But it is an exciting development in the capacity strengthening objective of the LRI. Finally, we are currently also preparing for a new workshop. In the past 2 years, we've not been able to organize a workshop on operational research methods, and we are currently planning for a data analysis workshop to be held later this year. So far, the LRI part of my presentation, and then I will now move to the global partnership and the work related to the implementation of the research agenda. Just to recap what has been done, a very brief summary of the steps taken in the development and the implementation of the research agenda to date. And that started in 2018 with the large multi-stakeholder group discussions, which identified the most important research gaps. And these were published in the Infectious Diseases of Poverty, but also more extensively in Leprosy Review. Then in 2020, top 40 topics were extracted from this publication and were prioritized or ranked by a smaller group of experts, and that resulted in a top 10. The same year, or in 2021, early 21, a landscaping analysis was done of projects that were ongoing at the time, and which gave an impression of the research activity across the priorities. And subsequently, 3 research priority areas were chosen to further develop research workshops for. And the selected priority areas were improving early detection, reducing stigma, and improving mental well-being, and diagnosis and treatment of nerve function impairment and reactions. And the aim of these workshops was to discuss critical research questions to be explored and to also develop high-quality, collaborative, impactful research proposals, or concept notes that could be translated into research proposals at a later stage. To date, the first 2 workshops have been conducted, and the key elements of the workshops were a pre-workshop survey among the participants. And the survey invited participants to list research questions and approaches, and these were used as input in the actual workshop. Another element is an impact pathway, shown also on the slides, and that lists the input and activities, the outputs, outcome, and then eventually the desired impact of a project. And the concept notes that are developed during the workshop should serve as the activities within the impact pathway to reach the desired impact in the end. For both research workshops, draft impact pathways were developed by the chairs and a research advisory group, and also these impact pathways were used as input for the discussions. And finally, a limited number of plenary presentations were included in the program. The participants of the workshops were identified by their current involvement in studies relevant to the workshop topic, hold positions with global relevance to the topic, and had significant recent contribution to the topic, and consisted of a mix of researchers, programmatic staff, persons affected, and resource mobilizers. The output of the workshop will contribute to a research portfolio, including the impact pathway, concept notes, and also 1-pages extracted from the concept notes. So the first workshop was held on improving early detection, and it was in September 2021. And the topic was discussed in 3 subgroups: cost-effective case finding, GIS mapping and data tools, and capacity strengthening. And the desired impact of this workshop was the improved capacity for case finding through cost-effective and targeted programs at national and subnational level, accelerating towards elimination of leprosy, and mitigating the burden and impacts of leprosy on the individual, the community, and the society. And in this respect, I think it is also noteworthy to mention that the LRI call for proposals was aligned with the topics of this workshop, and also a recent ILAB conference was on the topic of active case finding, where we were also invited to give a presentation about the outcomes of the early detection workshop. And I think that this alignment of the different activities around the same topic will be beneficial in achieving progress with regard to these topics. Okay. Then the second workshop was on reducing stigma and improving mental well-being. And this was held in December 21. And here 2 subgroups were formed, one on reducing stigma and the second one on improving mental well-being. The desired impact that was formulated in the impact pathway focused on the reduction of leprosy-related stigma, resulting in improved early case detection, resulting in less disability at diagnosis, but also improved willingness to disclose to close contacts and increased coverage of contact tracing and screening. And finally, an improved mental well-being for the persons affected. For the remaining months of this year, we are planning the third workshop, and preparations have started, and that will focus on diagnosis and treatment of nerve function impairments and reactions. And we're also looking at the follow-up of the workshops, and that includes dissemination of the main outcomes of the workshop, not the concept notes per se or as such, but more the general proceedings and the main points from the workshop. The GPZL Secretariat is also preparing this research portfolio with the impact pathways, the concept notes, and the one-pagers, and these can then be used to identify relevant calls for proposals, but also to lobby for new donors and to try to interest them in leprosy research on the topics that align with their objectives and interests. However, both the reactive, but certainly the proactive resource mobilization will take time. We are currently trying to map out which smaller parts of the concept notes could be done already without waiting for this opportunity of a large grant. And we will do this both for the first and the second workshop and reach out again initially to the chairs and to the other participants. And especially the first workshop on early detection has been some time ago, and it is timely to reconnect with the group to hear about new developments and develop a way forward for addressing the smaller bits of the concept notes, or to learn if some of the bits have already been taken forward. For the third workshop, we will plan to take these smaller bit more explicitly into account already during the workshop. And the ultimate goal is to find a home for the larger concept notes, but until then, also look for these smaller steps. With that, I have come to my final presentation. Or come to the end of my presentation, and would like to hand back to Dr. Truman.
We're in a position that we can take a few questions for Menke if she has any, but somebody's going to need to capture those for me. No questions have come up in the chat, and so that just means you've done an excellent job. Oh, now we have one. If Mendelin can tell me what that one is. Okay. It's doesn't say from whom it's from, but it's thanks, Nico. Will LRI expect the members to coordinate or to contribute their efforts in kind for all the new capacity strength proposals?
I think it depends a little bit on who the mentors are. So if it is a mentor from an academic institution and who is not directly, if it is a mentor from an academic institution, I can imagine that there will be a small, possible to include in the budget a small budget also for the academic mentor. Maybe if the mentor is from the organization that is implementing the study, and I'm thinking here also about iLab studies and the iLab research sites, that different arrangements can be made. But all in all, there's still a lot of details that we are looking into and that we are finalizing for this call for proposals. So I would also advise in December, when the call is launched, to look at all the specific details and eligibility criteria.
Thank you. That was actually from Adamik Kaluk, so thank you. And I have not seen another question pop up in the queue. So we could, I suppose, just go ahead and move on towards our closing. Might be a couple of minutes early, but I think Linda is online and she's available, and we can go for that. So with that, I think I will just express my thanks to all the attendees, the moderators and presenters. We appreciate you being online with us all this time. We also want to thank the members of the SRC, the steering committee, as well as the executive group. And amongst those, I especially want to recognize Victor Rutten. This is his 8th year of serving on the scientific review committee. He's rotating off. He's really made an invaluable contribution over all this time, and we will miss him, but also wish him the best of luck. Of course, we thank Linda and her staff at the LRI and NLR, including Ninka, Nicole, and Krista. And we will welcome your comments and criticisms and suggestions for improvements in the future. I'm sure that you can expect an email from Nicole or Krista asking for comments on the meeting. And so with that, I would be just handing it over to Linda for some closing comments.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dr. Truman. Yeah, dear attendants, I was sad to learn how yesterday's program suffered from many technical issues for which I'd like to apologize. And I understand this has been very hard on the chairs, the moderators, the presenters, and not very satisfying for the attendees. It's also been really hard on the small LRI team. So we will be looking into options to sharing the missed information with you, and we'll let you know how that will proceed. Today was a lot better, with good presentations, active discussions, and good timekeeping. Let's remember the good parts. From my side, I would also really like to say a big thank you to the researchers, the committees, the funding partners, and to our chair, Dr. Truman, and our mighty and small staff. And a special thanks to Nienke Veldhuizen, who will be graduating to other future plans. And we do hope to keep in touch and expect to hear from you again. So thank you very much, everyone. And now I think the team would say a couple of last words.
Oh, we're live now.
Just the two ladies behind behind the scene, Nicole and Kisa.
Thank you all for joining us. We hope it was a nice experience for you, although the technical issues. And of course, thank you also to Nienke. Linda, back to you.